Alright, hello everyone, welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is March the 1st, 2023, at least according to their calendars. We are closing in on spring. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. We're closing in on spring. I didn't really have anything else. I really didn't. Numerologically speaking, March is another one of those months to look out for. Just to look out for. March the 3rd, the Ides of March. You know, watch out for that. March 29th, March the 6th. I'm sure there's other ones in there too, but my mind is not working right now. The biggest thing that I'm thinking about right now is Jeremiah 51. So if I thought Jeremiah 50 was a long one, well, Jeremiah 51 is way longer than that. This is 3.5, almost 4 pages. And, oh wait, there's one right there. There is only one Pilcrow. That means if I were to read this thing straight through, that I would only stop once. And then I'd have to read the whole thing again. So, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to cut it off every, let's say, oh man, I don't even know. Let's say I cut it off every 10 verses. How's that work? If I see that the 10th verse goes into the next verse, we will go to the next verse. But I cannot read 50-something consecutive verses straight without driving myself insane. That would be a lot. We did that with one of the Psalms. I can't remember which one it was, but it was just one full straight line all the way through. Not only that, like I said, it's a big chapter, and it's enough. Believe me, it's a lot. It's enough. So let's go ahead and start this. Apparently, my throat is wanting to close up now. That's awesome. But let's go ahead and start this. Like I said, I'll go 10 verses, and then I'll stop, and then we'll go over them. Like I've been doing. I do like the way I do it. Some people might not like it, but I do like the way I do it. You know, read the verses and then go back over them a second time. It helps give me an understanding to go back over it slower. Plus, the repetition of it all helps. The 3 R's: repetition, redundancy, and repetition. That's how it works. That's just about how everything works. They like to make sure you hear something 3 times in order to really, well, I would say 4 times to really sink it in. But 3 times is usually how much you need to be able to keep it in mind. But I'm not going to try to brainwash you with it. If I go over it a second time for myself, it will definitely sink in for me. So that's how I do it. And you got to remember, I'm not trying to preach. I'm just trying to figure it out myself. Keep that in mind. So let's jump into this, because this is going to be a long one. That's all I can say. This one's going to be a long one. Jeremiah 51. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind, and will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine. And spare ye not her young men. Destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted even to the skies. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Alright. That's 10 verses. That's good. I wonder if I should do 12. I think I should do 12. Let's just do 10. Let's just stick with the 10. I know. So going back up to the top. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. And will send unto Babylon fanners, that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her roundabouts. God will come up against them as a destroying wind. And he will rise up against them that fight against him, that rise up against God, the destroying wind of God. It almost sounds like he's saying, I will rise up against those that try to fight the weather, or try to manipulate the weather. Throwing that one out there. Verse 3, Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. So even though the Babylonians shall take over the land, even though the Babylonians shall do all of these terrible things to the world, God says he will not forsake his people, Israel, Judah, the Gentiles that will follow with them, the ones that want to be a part of it, but were not a part of it because they were not either born into it or whatever. He says that he will destroy Babylon because he has promised to them that he would bring his people back. Bring his people back into the sacred place. What was I at? Verse 5? Verse 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Flee out of the midst of Babylon. Come out of Babylon. Come out of her, my children. We've heard that one before in Revelation. Even though I haven't read it on air, you've read that before in Revelations. You've read that before almost through the whole Bible. Come out of evil. Come away from evil. Flee out of evil. It's like Lot being dragged out of Sodom. Come out of it. Which makes me think, because some people think, oh, just come out of Babylon simply means to just stop following Babylon. I believe that to a point. You know, coming out of Babylon just means to wake up to the lies and just come away from it. Stop following in their ways. And At that same time, though, I think it's an actual physical thing as well. I think that it's going to be flee away from those places. Find yourself a place in the wilderness to hide yourself. It says that they will be running from their houses. They will not have time to turn back, or they're not supposed to turn back to their houses to be able to take things with them. God will provide them with the things that they need, but they will have to flee from their places when the destruction comes. God will take care of them in the wilderness. I think it's the same thing. It's also it was the line about when you see the abomination of desolation come into the temple, that is your sign to flee into the wilderness, to get away. Now, whether we've seen that or not, that's debatable. I think we're gonna really, really see it. Some people said it, and I even kind of half mentioned it. The first time that you saw anybody take a shot on TV, it was like, oh, there you go, there's your sign. And I'm like, well, maybe not. Maybe there's something else going on. I think it's going to be something that we all see all at once. Maybe we've already seen it in terms of I don't know. Everybody talks about the Temple of Pergamon, Obama's election, or whatever it was. Whenever they rebuilt, they built a replica of the Temple of Pergamon, which is the seat of Satan. That's what it's called. And the whole. I don't know. I really don't know if it would be something like that, where you would see it on TV with the election of an official. It's going to be something along the lines of something that God said, no, don't do this. This is the worst thing that you could ever bring into the temple, and put it into the temple. The abomination of desolation. Now remember, I thought that was interesting too, that they called it the Abomination. O-B-A. Obama. I think it's how, I don't remember how to spell his damn name. I don't even care. But I don't know. It goes both ways. It is amazing how they choose their words, how they choose their language, and it follows extremely similar to what the Bible tells us. I'm not saying that's what it is. I don't even believe that. I believe it's something else that we're going to see, but it's, we're going to all see it all at once, and we're going to understand that's the sign. That's when it's time to run. I think God will definitely smack us upside our heads and say, that's it, go. Run for it. But flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquities. Do not be caught up in Babylon's problems. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand. God controls Babylon. He tells the world, don't follow after this. I hold this evil. I can pour this evil out whenever I want. I can clean this evil up whenever I want. But that evil is there because I need it to be there. This evil is my servant because you wouldn't follow what I told you to do. A lot of people don't like hearing that. God would never do something like that. Oh, no, yes, God would. It's the meme that's going around right now is that, you want to complain about what God's doing, but it was you not following what God told you to do that got you into this mess in the first place. That's the meme. I see it every other day. It's because you wouldn't listen to him in the first place. It's what got you in this mess. He uses these things. He straight up tells you that he will use this against you if you don't listen. He holds this in his hand. He says, I will protect you from this. All you have to do is listen to me. You don't want to listen to me? Hey, I will let this go. I will let this happen. If you listen to me, you don't have to ever fear this. I will let you conquer this. Because this is nothing to me. This is a glass of wine in my hand. So what? This is nothing to me. To you, it may be the world. To me, this is nothing. If you obey my commandments, listen to what I say. Be better to each other. Do better. Love one another. Trust that I will help you through this. Don't fear this. I will simply throw this cup away. It means nothing. It really does. That's how it is. But yet, again, they didn't want to listen. So he says, you know what? I will pour this out upon you. This is the wrath that I said is coming. Because you just chose not to listen. Verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Forsake Babylon, come out of Babylon. The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come, and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Alright, verse 11. We're going to go down to 20. Just wanted to see. God, it's such a long chapter. It's such a long chapter. And we're not going to go down to 20. It looks like we're going to go down to 23. Maybe 24, because 23 and 24 look like they connect. So we're going to go down to 24. Alright. Verse 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirits of the king of the Medes. For his device is against Babylon, to destroy it. Because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the wall strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, Surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power. He hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heaven, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightnings with rain. He bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms, and with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, and with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion, in your sight, saith the Lord. Alright, back to 11. I actually need to mark that so I can remember exactly where we stopped and started, because I'm going to wind up forgetting. Alright, verse 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his devices against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. So he hath raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes. I want to look that one up. The spirit of the king of the Medes. The Middle Land. People descended from the son of Japheth. Northwest of Persia proper, southwest to the Great Salt Desert. Okay. The spirit of the king of the Medes. Probably means a lot more than what it's telling me. Let's see if I can search that real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this because... I'm not finding it straight and directly. Let's see if I can just find it real quick in here. No, it's all just, everything I look up for right now is just talking about the actual verse itself. I'm sure there's more to it, and I'm sure that that is something for study, but right now we don't really have the time to study it, so we're going to keep going. Verse 12, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes. For the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. He said this is going to come and happen, it's going to happen. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, in the measure of thy covetousness. Thou that dwellest upon many waters. You hear that in Revelations as well. The merchants of Babylon, the ships, the merchants on many waters. It's something similar to that. I don't think it's exactly what it is, but it's something similar to that. All the treasures that it had held up and stocked up for itself, all the trading that it had ever done, because Babylon was the nation that had all of these other countries, all of these other nations in their pockets. They were trading with them, they were storing up the treasures, they were doing all of these things. These are the sea merchants of the world. These are the maritime lawgivers, is Babylon. Now you could count that as Britain, England, because that's where it starts. But that also goes back to Egypt. Egypt, even though they want you to think that they were a desert nation. They had ships. The Chinese had ships too. Japan had ships too. So it could be them as well. You never know. I mean, heck, but the true kings of the sea were the British Royal Navy. They were the true kings of the sea. They were the ones that had all the ships, that had all the trading, that had all the stuff. So is England Babylon? Well, that's for you to find out. I really can't tell. Because it seems like everybody wants to say, oh, America, look, America's Babylon, because America fits everything to a T, everything, it works out perfectly like that. Well, I also believe that we haven't even seen what true Babylon looks like yet. There may be something else, something entirely different that pops up that we don't even know. Then again, America could very well be Babylon. You know, it seems to fit the bill to a T, yet there are other countries that seem to have the same kind of... I mean, hell, I was watching something just yesterday, as a matter of fact, where somebody was saying that America is the promised land. Now, of course, you know, I tend to go with the America's Egypt thing. At the same time, you know, there could be a Jerusalem inside of America. I don't know. All I can do is speculate on that. But this guy, I can't remember who his name was, or what his name was. He was talking about America's the promised land, and the people of America, not the natives, the white people of America, were the promised people of Jerusalem. And I'm like, okay, well, you lost me on that one, but you gained me somewhere else. But it was just like, America's fallen. I get it. America could be Babylon. I get it. But of course, why wouldn't Satan want to confuse you on that notion when there's something else that could also be Babylon rising up that we haven't seen yet? It could go both ways, and I could agree with it both ways, and I will not steer anybody away from either side. I am just saying, if we're tricked on everything, then maybe we ought to reevaluate everything, because you just don't know. I don't know. Now, again, I said I agree, you know, the whole America's Babylon, the whole beast rising up, and the seven hills and all the other things like that. Yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. You know, of course, Rome had 7 physical hills. America has 7 governmental hills. Works both ways. You know, we have... It's the whole thing. If I really got down to it and made a list, I could probably say, yes, it's 100%. It's America. Hey, look right there. I don't know. Remember, it's all speculation. I'm just trying to figure out the puzzle pieces myself, because this world tells us one thing, the Bible tells us another thing, and then, you know, there might be other people out there that tell us a third thing. So we have to find the truth in all things. We just don't know. That's why we try to figure it out. But as far as Babylon being that nation that dwells upon many waters, is abundant in treasures, thine end is come. Verse 14. The Lord of hosts hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee, as with caterpillars, like locusts, you know, like a plague of caterpillars. And they shall lift up a shout against thee. He hath made the earth by his power, he hath established the world by his wisdom, and hath stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens. There is a multitude of waters in the heavens. Not just water, waters in the heavens. He separated the waters from the waters. You have water above you. Why is the sky blue? Well, it's probably water. I'm just saying, it's probably water. Separated by a firmament. The firmament itself could be blue. You don't know. There's waters above, waters below. Whenever you put sound through water, it creates light. The angels are said to have been set in the firmament and sing songs to God every day, continuously. That is their appointed places, is that they are set in the sky to sing the praises of God constantly. Stars make noise. When you put a radar to a star, It makes noise. It sends back a clear and audible signal. Therefore, stars are noises in the skies. Water creates light when you send sound through it. Angels sing constantly. Angels are stars. It even says it somewhere else, is that the angels were appointed places, wandering stars. It is preserved for them the blackness and the darkness, because they were the ones that fell away from their appointed places. So God chained them up, locked them away to create wandering stars as them. I've even said it somewhere before that Saturn, the rings of Saturn, yes, whenever you look at these things, they look like they're round, they look like they're, balls of whatever it is. God creates those images in order to confuse the sinners, because the sinners want that to be a certain way. I've even said that the reason that there's rings around Saturn is because that's Satan. He's locked up. He's imprisoned by the rings. It's possible. It's what your Bible says. I'm not saying that. This is what your Bible says. And like 20 different places around the Bible, it's what it says. Here a little, there a little. It's all over the place. It's completely speculation for me to say, oh, Saturn is Satan and, the rings are... But I think that could be what it is. I think it could be very well what it is. Just because you're looking up at round objects in the sky doesn't mean that they're planets. Enoch tells you that the things in the sky look the way they are because that's what the sinners want, because that's what they believe, because they don't want to have a God. Remember, I talked about this, I think I talked about this yesterday, is that they want to believe what they want to believe because they don't want to have to change their worldview. They like living in their unrighteousness. They take pleasure in it. To think of anything else, to think that there is a creator God out there that made them, that they're going to have to be good for, or else they might burn in an eternal fire. They can't fathom that. They don't want to fathom that because they have done unrighteously and they want to keep living unrighteously. That's called being stiff-necked. It's this whole process of understanding. Once you put all of these pieces together, you see it all come into being. It's why people won't listen to the truth. It's why things are the way they are. It's because people would rather live the lie. They take pleasure in it. They enjoy it. They don't want the truth. The truth is not in them. Anyways, when he uttereth, this is 16 again, when he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning with rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures. Oh, we'll see right there, that means that he's making clouds. Well, the second part, yeah, sure, but he also says, when he uttereth his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens. This all started out as waters above and waters below. There's vapors that come from the earth and go up into the sky and make clouds. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. But there's also waters above too. I would consider it to be I even said once before that what if it's all just one big fish tank? I know that sounds wild, but just what if it's all one big fish tank? What if everything outside of the firmament it is water, because God exists in water. Water of life. I don't know. I'd like to think it doesn't, but again, the earth is his footstool. So, if the earth is his footstool, is the aquarium his footstool? or does he just exist in water? It gets a little existential. I think there are some secrets that we're not meant to know. And, you know, whenever I start thinking about stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, there are things that we're not meant to know yet. You know, there's a lot that we're not meant to know. At least not here, not now. 17. Every man is brutish by his knowledge. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood. There is no breath in them. Every man is brutish. I've looked this one up before. Stupid. Every man is stupid by his knowledge. I know I've looked that word up before. Every man is stupid, dull-hearted, unreceptive, to cause to be grazed over. By his knowledge, every founder is confounded. Every founder, everyone that makes or creates something, is confounded by his graven image. For his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, the work of errors. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. The portion of Jacob is not like them. Hold on. All right. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war, for with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman. Just man and woman? No other genders on that one, just man and woman? Because, you know, that's how it works. It's only man and woman. If you think that there's any other gender outside of that, you're confused, and you need to go see a specialist. Don't just go see a psychologist or psychiatrist or anything like that. Go get yourself checked for autism. 60 to 70% of all trans people are autistic. Go get yourself checked for autism. There is help out there. I'm telling you that right now. Don't believe what this satanic New World Order nightmare system wants you to believe. You need to get some serious mental help if you have any kind of sexual dysphoria, because it will hurt you and destroy you and kill you. It's either that or it will kill it will make you kill yourself, because you will learn that you cannot change. You will fall into wickedness and darkness. And what will happen is either a demon will come into your body and will take you and manipulate and destroy your body until you are unrecognizable. And maybe one of those days, the demon will decide to leave you and will leave you with nothing. If you're a man, he will leave you with a mutilated penis and fake breasts. And you'll wake up and you'll realize that you have become nothing. That you still, no matter how much you've tried, you still have these urges and desires that you can't get rid of. And now you are mutilated and empty, and you are a shell of the human being. And you will have what they now have as what is it called? Reproductive regret, I think it's what it's called. Is that, you know, whenever they go through all these operations and they find out that they can't have children because they screwed up their body so much. If you're trans and you're listening to this, or if you're gender dysphoric and you're listening to this right now, you don't need to change your sex. You need to find help. If you're a woman and you start taking the male hormones, if you mutilate your breasts off your body, which is something that you need to survive, by the way. If you decide to go down and take out your own damn ovaries, if you take all those hormones that will change your voice, that will make you grow hair on your face, that will lead to male pattern baldness before its time, 24-year-old girls losing their hair. That's sad. That's really, really sad. Well, you wanted it. This is what you want. This is what you get. Those are the biggest ones. The biggest suicide rates inside of the trans community come from the women because they have reproductive regrets. Because the worst side effects of the hormones, of the hormone blockers, of all these things that they do, come towards the women. They lose the hair. They grow the facial hair that they can't get rid of. And they are left a wreck. They are left an absolute wreck. Those are the ones that hurt me the most. Beautiful girls that could turn into very beautiful women that could live very healthy, amazing lives, destroy themselves simply because no one stopped to tell them the truth. Because everyone they ever met wanted to tell them the lie that yes, they wanted to be a boy. All because they just wanted to hang out with the boys. Tomboys are a thing because this world has created women. Feminism has created women that just want to do what the boys do. That needs to stop. We don't have to over-feminize women, but we need to tell them just because you like boys' things doesn't mean you're a boy. You can like and enjoy boys' things, but in the end, you're still going to be a woman for all your life, no matter how much you try to change that. And if you do try to change that, it's going to destroy you. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman. There is none else. Two sexes, two genders. Anything else is pronoun pretenders. And it needs to be stopped. We need to start telling these kids the truth. And with thee will I break in pieces young and old and young. And with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. Interesting thing. The guy that I was listening to yesterday was using something from Ezekiel about the cattle that the invading nations will come and take away. Because he was trying to say there are invading nations that are going to come and take it all away from you and all this stuff. And he was basing that upon, again, the United States of America. He was saying, they will come in and they will take all of this stuff because we are the chosen people. We are this and we are that. And he said, they will come and they will take the cattle. And, he was one of those that was, he was a Strong's Concordance guy on very specific words. Not on the whole Bible, just very specific words. Oh, he was bound and determined to tell you that every time it says the Lord, I will cross it out and I will write in Yahweh. Hey, you know what? You can do whatever you want. I'm not a sacred namer. I'm not going to, I pray to Yahuwah every day. I pray in the name of Yeshua. That's what I do. You can do what you want. For some reason, there still seems to be power in the name of Jesus Christ. I don't know why. I just don't use the word Jesus. But there still seems to be power in that. But he is bound and determined to say, this book was written by Catholics. That I agree too. And it's twisted and manipulated. I get that as well. But he could not go past the point where he could look up the word cattle and understand that didn't mean cows. He said, do you think there's loads of cattle in the Middle East? There's not loads of cattle in the middle. There's a lot of cattle in Texas. They're coming to take our cattle. And I stopped and I immediately got on my websites, the Strong's Concordances, and I looked it up, and cattle meant everything. Cattle just means livestock. cows, sheep, goats, ox. This is how you have to separate what these people say from what you can read for yourself, because it's very easy for them to manipulate you into following a very specific way. Now again, he could be wrong, he could be right. I don't know. That's not for me to say. I don't think he is, but that's not for me to say definitively. But I can tell you this much: when somebody like that says, you've got all of these illegal aliens coming over the border of Texas, which I agree, we should not have illegal aliens coming over the border from Texas. When he says that they're coming to take the cattle, and that's biblical, the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, and with thee will I break in pieces captain and rulers. That's all I have to say about it. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion, in your sight, saith the Lord. All right. All right. I'm going to stop at 29 because it looks like 30 is the start of a new thought process. So here we go. Verse 25. Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations. But thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations. Prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a captain against her. Cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation, without an inhabitant. All right, I'm going to stop there. We're going to go back to 25. It's like I said, if I can see a place where it looks like it's broken up more, I'll stop at that point. It just looks like if I went to 31 looks like it just continues what 30 said, so we're going to stop it there. Verse 25, Behold, I am against thee, O destroying mountain. And I actually looked that up. That was the first thing whenever I turned the page and I saw it, and I had to look it up before I started recording. That is a mountain. That is a hill. That is a mountain. O destroying mountain. I don't know what destroying mountain, but I think it's interesting. O destroying mountain, saith the Lord, which destroyest all the earth. Oh, I am against thee, O destroying mountain, and I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. It is very interesting when you talk about mud floods in Tartaria. A lot of people want to talk about how the rocks are melted and burnt. A lot of places are melted and burnt, and a lot of places it looks like, there were entire mountains and hills that were struck down. Just lends more credence to that whole, maybe this has already happened and we're living in a season of Satan. Again, I can't tell you which way it is. I don't know for certain. It just seems like it's one way, but then the next day it seems like it's another way. I don't know. It's so hard to figure out because this world has twisted our mentality of what everything is, including what the Bible says. And there are so many people that, still believe one way, and they have good arguments. And then there are still those that have another way of thinking, and they have good arguments. The fact that we can't find the perfect middle ground tells you just how manipulated the whole system is. This is the stuff that I'm looking for. This is the stuff that I'm trying to figure out for myself. Like I said, I can't listen to any one person. I have to figure it out for myself, and I tell everybody else, you figure it out for yourself too. That's the only way you're going to know. But pray to the Father that he gives you that understanding as well. 26. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, saith the Lord. Set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her. Call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Mene, and Ashkenaz. Ashkenaz was one of those countries, we were just talking about it. Where was it at? It's a northern people, descendant of Japheth. It was one of those, I cannot remember where we were talking about it. What is Mene while we're here, though? It means division. It's a region in Armenia. Ararat means the curse reversed, or precipitation of curse. Ashkenaz, of course, means a man as sprinkled, fire as scattered. So like a scattered fire. Neither of those meanings, those names sound any good. I can't remember what we were talking about Ashkenaz about. Appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. 28. Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes. That's got to mean something. The captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. Alright, verse 30. Let's see if I can find a... Let's go from 30 to 40, because it looks like there's a break right there. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They have burned their dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadrezzar the king of Babylon hath devoured me, he hath crushed me, he hath made me an empty vessel, he hath swallowed me up like a dragon, he hath filled his belly with my delicates, he hath cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon. Shall the inhabitant of Zion say, okay, I messed that one up. 35. The violence done to me and my flesh shall be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say, and my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea, shall Jerusalem say. Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will plead thy cause, and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea, and make her springs dry. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons, an astonishment and a hissing, without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, they shall yell as lions' whelps. In her heat I will make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. Oh, yeah. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. All right, that's the end of it. It's hard with the Pilcrow, without the Pilcrows, man, because, they separated it out to where they make sense to a point. I can't just not read through it and, just kind of say, well, I'm going to stop here and it makes sense. So it's a little weird. It is a little weird. It's like I said, though, I couldn't read 50-something verses all at once. No, 58 verses all at once and be like, oh, hey, look what I did. That would destroy me. I'd be reading all day, and then I'd have to go through it piece by piece, and this is better. I'm doing my best not to take away or add or subtract or do anything to that. I'm just saying that, we have to break it up to have some understanding. Back up to 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. There. Can we get any more alliteration in here? The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. My nose is starting to act up, and I feel a sneeze coming. And that was my own fault because I itched my nose, and it's how it happens. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They have burned their dwelling places. Her bars are broken. One post shall run to meet another, and one messenger to meet another, to show the king of Babylon that his city is taken at one end, and that the passages are stopped. And the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. I don't need to go over all of this because it kind of speaks for itself. We could talk about, men not being able to fight because they became as women. Because women can't fight very well. Just throwing that out there, Oh, you're such a sexist. No, I'm a realist. I understand that women can't do what men do. You want perfect proof? Go look at the one dude that's competing in women's swimming as a woman. This is a guy who was ranked 800th in the world, or 800th in the country, or whatever it was, who apparently now is ranked number 1 in female sports. You think that's fair? Piss off. They used to make jokes about that. We used to joke about that all the time, about guys becoming girls because they were better than the girls. There was a movie about that had Rodney Dangerfield in it. What was the one with the soccer it was his nephew or something like that, where he told him to wear a wig because he was so good at soccer, and he was able to beat these girls like it was nothing. It's the same thing with South Park, where Cartman wanted to get into the Special Olympics, or the movie with Johnny Knoxville where he tried to get into the Special Olympics. It's the same exact movie, but they tried to get into the Special Olympics because they knew that they could do better because they're not disabled. It's the same thing. You're not a woman, you're a man. The only way that you can compete and win trophies, win medals, is if you pretend to be a girl in a sport where men can dominate women. It's like all these women that are trying to fight in the MMA against the boys. It doesn't work. Everybody likes to point to, well, you see, there's certain women in wrestling that can beat the boys. It's like, no, they can't. Professional wrestling is fake, you pleb. Now, as far as mat wrestling, yes, it is possible. Especially if you get a girl that is classed slightly above, even though they're at the lower class, at the weight class, because women do have a lower point of gravity. So if you put a woman on a mat, and if you tell a dude to try to flip her over, she might not move, because they have different centers of gravity in their body. That's why women are so good at balancing. There's other things that they're so good at. They're good at as well, but they may not have the upper but the upper muscle strength, the upper body strength to be able to handle certain other things. Yes, some women can compete with men, that's right, but not all women can compete with men. It doesn't work that way. There are certain things that they just can't do. One of them we're finding out is swimming. Because men have upper body strength, they can just swim faster. It is what it is. I'm sorry to say, this is just the way it is. It's always been this way. There's nothing wrong with that. Women can do things that men can't do. Women can have the babies. Women are supposed to be loving and nurturing. They don't need to worry about going out playing sports. They really don't. They're loving and nurturing. They can be competitive, sure. But they don't need to worry about it. When a man loves a woman enough that they get married and have kids, the man's job is to protect the woman with every breath of his being. The woman is to love the husband and take care of her children with every breath of her being. It's a symbiotic relationship. There's never anything about somebody dominating the other. It was never meant to be that way. It works in unison. It works in harmony. Why is that such a bad thing now? So it's because the world's flipped everything on its head. That's all upside down. The Bible even says, woe for them that put bad for good and good for bad, or good for evil, whatever it is. It's where we are now. Everything's flipped on its head because it's division. It's division. It's evil. It's Satanism. It's what they want. They want it flipped on its head. They want this agenda pushed through as fast as possible because they don't want us to have any good left in us whatsoever. And again, sadly, it's working because everybody has, been manipulated to that point. Where were we at? And that the passages are stopping the reads, and I said that we don't really have to go over it, and yet I wound up going over it. Verse 33, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. No, that is not talking about beating a woman to death. That is just talking about her being like the threshing floor, and that the time of the harvest will come. You have to thresh the wheat before you harvest it. Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, hath devoured me. He hath crushed me. He hath made me an empty vessel. He hath swallowed me up like a dragon. He hath filled his belly with my delicates. He hath cast me out. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say. And my blood upon the inhabitants of Chaldea shall Jerusalem say. Therefore thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will plead thy cause, and take vengeance for thee, and I will dry up her sea, and make her springs dry. This is something that we heard in the last chapter. And Babylon shall become heaps, a dwelling place for dragons. Again, I even pointed out the place where it looks like there was a dragon that looked like it might have inspired something that the South Americans drew. I'm just pointing that out. An astonishment and an hissing without an inhabitant. They shall roar together like lions, and they shall yell as lions' whelps. In their heat I will make their feasts, and I will make them drunken, that they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep and not wake, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he-goats. We heard that exact same thing in the last chapter too. Alright, so where did it say it was? 59, so let's go to 49. It looks like it's where it's supposed to be. So verse 41, How is Shishak taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea is come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and a wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Bel, which is Baal, I will punish Bel in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that, in another year, shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come, that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, shall sing for Babylon, for the spoilers shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. There is a lot of this that seems like we just heard it at the beginning of this. It is almost like 50 and 51 are the same exact things, just slightly different in the point where they cut 50, halfway through 51 would be 50, and then 51 would have started from that point. But they sound exactly like each other. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what it sounds like to me. Remember, there's a lot of places in the Bible that sounds like it repeats itself, because I think it's one person writing something, and then there's a second person that is writing what they heard, but they have to write it a little bit different because they heard it instead of writing it themselves. So it goes both ways. We heard that a lot in Isaiah. We heard that a lot in the Psalms. You get a ton of that stuff in the New Testament. I think it goes both ways. So 41 again. How is Shishak taken? And how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How is Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? And I'm going to kind of go here and not stop too much, because, like I said, this is big, this is a big chapter, and I've only got like 30 minutes until I have to really start getting ready for it. So 42, the sea has come up upon Babylon. She is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. Sounds like another flood. Her cities are a desolation, a dry land, and her wilderness, a land wherein no man dwelleth, neither doth any son of man pass thereby. And I will punish Baal, in Babylon, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. The nations shall not flow together any more unto him. The nations shall not flow together any more unto Baal, unto Satan. They shall not come to him any more. All roads lead to Rome? No. All roads lead to Satan. 45. My people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. What's the rumor? The rumor of wars? Probably. Rumors of wars, rumors of whatever. At least your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. A rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler, just for my sake. 46. Ruler, to have dominion, to rule, to cause to rule. King against king, ruler against ruler. Therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded. and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. Then the heaven and the earth, and all that is therein, shall sing for Babylon. For the spoils shall come unto her from the north, saith the Lord. Shall sing for Babylon? Yes, they shall sing for Babylon. What will be happening then? Well, the psalm says, when the wicked are thrown into the lake of fire, when they find their pure judgment, whatever happens, there will be singing, dancing, and rejoicing. I said that was a hard teaching whenever we first heard it, but that's exactly what it is. When judgment comes upon the wicked, there will be rejoicing. And it will be, yea, the bad guys are burning and being judged. You pray for the wicked right up until the point where they're judged, and then you get to sing and dance. That ain't my words. I read that in the book. And I said, even it surprised me. I said, holy smokes, that's exactly what that says. You will be singing for Babylon. You will be praying that God has mercy, but at the same time, you will be singing, rejoice, they are finally going down. Babylon has finally fallen. Thank the Lord. 49, as Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away, stand not still. Remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces. For strangers are come into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wound shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify heights of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because the Lord hath spoiled Babylon, and destroyed out of her the great voice. When her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken, every one of their bows is broken. For the Lord God of recompenses shall surely requite. And I will make drunk her princes, and her wise men, her captains and her rulers, and her mighty men, and they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad ways of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. Now, it is 10 minutes after 7. I'm going to ask that you give me a minute, because I do not hear my wife getting up. This is usually the time when she gets up and she gets ready for work. Sometimes she misses her alarm, though. Sometimes she'll hit snooze, and instead of hitting snooze, she'll hit off. And if I let her go until 7:20, 7:30, and she's not awake, she gets pretty upset. Give me 1 minute. I know it's gonna be nothing but the music playing in the background, but let me go check on her. I will be right back, okay? Just wait a second. We're gonna come back. We're gonna start back at 49. Just give me a second. All right. I am back. She is a bit of a grumpy old bear whenever she wakes up. It is what it is. I love the hell out of her though. Anyways, yeah, and I opened the door, and as soon as I opened the door, the alarm went off. So yeah, it's her hitting her snooze. Where were we at? 49. As Babylon hath caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. Ye that have escaped the sword, go away. Stand not still. Remember the Lord afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. Those that have escaped Babylon, stand not still. Keep moving. Do not turn back. But remember the Lord from afar off, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. He will send you back to the place where you need to be sent. We are confounded, because we have heard reproach. Shame hath covered our faces, for strangers are come into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. When you let strangers into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house, when you let those people that should not be there in the first place come into the house, they can change your house. This is why you don't let strangers in your house. Because they will see all the things that they need to see. They will manipulate you. They will hurt you. They will change things. They may steal things. They will do whatever they can to make that house your house. This is the people that they're talking about. Strangers. 52. Wherefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will do judgment upon her graven images, and through all her land the wounded shall groan. Though Babylon should mount up to heaven, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, yet from me shall spoilers come unto her, saith the Lord. A sound of a cry cometh from Babylon, and great destruction from the land of the Chaldeans, because the Lord hath spoiled Babylon, and destroyed out of her the great voice. When her waves do roar like great waters, a noise of their voice is uttered. Because the spoiler is come upon her, even upon Babylon, and her mighty men are taken. Every one of their bows is broken. For the Lord God of recompenses shall surely requite. Again, I don't have to say it twice. This is pretty much speaking for itself. And I will make drunk her princes, and her wise men, her captains, and her rulers, and her mighty men. And they shall sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the King, whose name is the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the broad walls of Babylon shall be utterly broken, and her high gates shall be burned with fire, and the people shall labor in vain, and the folk in the fire, and they shall be weary. Alright, this is the only pilcrow in the entire chapter is on 59. So everything up till this point, whoever put these pilcrows into this book, because remember, there's certain King James that I've read that the pilcrows are in completely different places. Whoever put it into this book decided that from verse 1 all the way to verse 58 was one continuous paragraph, was one continuous thought. And I can agree with that, because it's talking about the entirety of Babylon falling and the things that will happen and all that. But for my reading purposes here, I had to break it up. That's why I said I had to put stops in certain places. So 59 to 64, here we go. 59. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Sariah the son of Neriah, the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign. And this Sariah was a quiet prince. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, When thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see, and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place, to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it into the midst of Euphrates. And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Now let's read that again, because there was something interesting that somebody may have missed there. 59. The word which Jeremiah the prophet commanded Seraiah, the son of Neriah, the son of Maaseiah, when he went with Zedekiah the king of Judah into Babylon in the 4th year of his reign, and this Seraiah was a quiet prince. This is after they went up north. He fled up north with everyone. The Babylonians turned him loose and said, you can go wherever you want to, you can do whatever you want to, but first go up with these people up to here. They went up to that city. That city got taken over by the Ammonites, and the one king got killed. What was his name? Gedaliah, I think is his name. I cannot remember. He got killed, so they all fled to Egypt. And Jeremiah the whole way down kept saying, don't go to Egypt. God said don't go to Egypt. You're not supposed to go to Egypt. If you go to Egypt, you're going to fall with Egypt. And everybody kept saying, no, we're not going to listen to you. You're just trying to get us captured by the Babylonians. The Babylonians set you free. The Babylonians let you go wherever you want. They never once thought, hey, it's God's will that he's coming down here to tell you people not to go to these places. But of course, they didn't want to listen. They went down to Egypt. Guess what happened? Babylonians took Egypt. So now they were brought captive to Babylon, where God said they were going to end up anyways. And this is what it's saying that Jeremiah said when they went down to Babylon. So this is where they're at right now. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon, even all these words that are written against Babylon. Jeremiah wrote this in a book. And Jeremiah said to Seraiah, when thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see, and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it, neither man nor beast, but that it shall be desolate forever. And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it into the midst of Euphrates. Wait a minute. Then how in the world are we even reading this? That's just a simple question. More than likely, it was rewritten somewhere. This Seraiah either didn't read it because he didn't want to know, because you have to remember a lot of these people kept saying Jeremiah's just crazy. He's nuts. Why should we listen to him? He does not have the learning of the wise men. He doesn't have the political nature of the politicians. He doesn't have the priestly will of God as the priests do. Why should we listen to him? Nobody listened to Jeremiah. Everybody went against him. They went out of their way to stop him. Is it possible that this Seraiah never read the book? Because he was supposed to read it and then put a stone around it. Did he not put a stone around it and throw it out? Did he not throw it in the waters? Did Seraiah rewrite it? Is that why it sounds like it repeats so much? I don't know. I can't say for certain. But, yet again, God told Jeremiah, do this physical thing in the world so that you can show people this is how these things are going to happen. Do this physical thing in the world to show this is going to happen. This is the one time where God didn't tell Jeremiah to do something. Jeremiah told somebody else to do something. Jeremiah did everything the Lord told him to do. Seraiah may not have done anything that Jeremiah told him to do. I don't know. But it says, "And it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it, and cast it into the midst of Euphrates. And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her. And they shall be weary." Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. Now, whether he did it or not, we don't know. But you have to remember, this is not God telling somebody to do something. This is Jeremiah telling somebody to do something. So we don't know for certain what happened there, why we are reading these words. See, this is the stuff you need to consider. Because people can turn. They can turn to you and they could say stuff like that. And they could say, aha, see? There's a place in the Bible that doesn't match up with what's going on here. You have to be able to know that, well, it doesn't say that he didn't read the book. It doesn't say that he didn't do the things he needed to do, because this wasn't God telling Sarai to do anything. This was Jeremiah telling somebody to do something. Jeremiah did everything God told him to do. Take this, show it to the people, and say, this is how this will happen. And he did that. And nobody listened to him. Nobody listened to him at all. So Sarai could have been the same way. Oh, it's just Jeremiah. Jeremiah's a conspiracy nut. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. You just don't know. Because all those words were supposed to be tied to a stone and thrown into the midst of the Euphrates. The book. I mean, that was he supposed to read it to somebody so that they would know? Did somebody swim down to the bottom of the Euphrates and find this book and be like, oh, hey, look, it's the words of Jeremiah? Or was it that it was never meant to go into the Euphrates? Think about this one. Did it not go into the Euphrates because Babylon never truly fell? Ooh. Because Babylon is still around. Eventually that book will be thrown into the Euphrates. I don't know. That's the biggest speculation of all. I don't know. I really don't know. But somewhere along the line, this got recopied. The words got pushed from one person to another, and it got recopied and it got rewritten, and somehow it made it to us. So you never know. Sorry, the granddaughter burst in. Immediately she wants to start asking me questions. Jeez, and then she slams my door. That's awesome. So anyways, we got a lot out of that. We had to get a lot out of it because it was a lot to talk about. It was huge. It's not even an hour and 30 minutes. Still, man, I can't believe I got through all that in time. There you go, though. The way that Babylon will fall. The prophecy about Babylon. And it's not, again, this is not just talking about what is going to happen to her, or to Babylon at this time. There's a lot of references to Babylon in the end times here as well, because Jeremiah wasn't just talking about what was happening to him then. He's talking about what's going to happen to Babylon at the end. It will be broken down. It will be scattered. It will be completely washed clean. When that happens, who knows? Has it already happened? Is it going to happen? Again, for my own sake, the more I look, the more I decide that I can't make a decision, because it just seems like it works both ways. I don't know. Something happened. Something happened in the world that flipped everything on its head. I remember I said about the 1850s, 1830s, somewhere around there. And we can't tell. That seems to be where all of our current history starts and stops, is right there. They have things that they say they can date back to the 1600s. They have things that they say they can date back to the 1400s. But if they're lying to you about the past 50 years, how bad do you think the past 500 years are? So, and it could all be true. Hey, man, it could all very well be true, and that I may be completely out of my gourd. That's possible as well. I don't know. I just think that there's more to it. Yeah, remember, history is written by the winners, and no one ever said that the good guys were the ones that won the last war. So, take that as you will. Just know that evil is continuing to snowball bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you're not pushing back against it, if you're not fighting against it, you're going to be swallowed up by it. So we all have to start telling the truth. We all have to start pushing back in some way, shape, or form. If you don't, you will lose everything. And no one ever said that God is coming back tomorrow. No one ever said God's coming back in 2 years. No one ever says God is coming back in 2028. No matter how much you try to manipulate and turn the numerology of the Bible in the book to say that's the exact time. No one has said that. So many people want to say, oh, hey, 2028 is going to be when it is. We only got so many years. Yay, we're going to be taken away and it's going to be great. And no one ever said that. No man knows, only God. Not even the right hand of God, not even Christ himself knew. They gave us signals. They gave us concepts and understandings of what it is. Days of Noah. We only had a great awakening, 7 years ago? 6 years ago? Whatever it was. We could very well have 120 years. The suffering is going to be beyond control. That's what the Bible says. Have we gone through suffering beyond control within the past 7 years? No, we haven't. You have to understand how this all works. So many people think that they're going to be saved tomorrow, and they're going to be sorely disappointed if they have to go through another 5 or 6 years of this. Every day posting on Twitter, oh, my Savior's coming tomorrow. 2 months later, Savior's coming tomorrow. 2 years later, Savior's coming tomorrow. You're supposed to be ready, yes, but what are you doing in the meantime? You're supposed to be sowing seeds. You're supposed to be being a watchman. All that is just sitting on your hands and just waiting for something. I'm going to be ready as much as I can. And I'm going to try to save as many people as I can. It makes me think of all those people that not even a year ago they said, oh, I stop, I give up, I quit, I can't try to change people anymore. And it's like within 1 year there's been so much evidence, so much more new information that you could very easily turn somebody to and just be like, hey, check this out. But no, they gave up. Those people gave up a year ago. They're not even trying to wake people up anymore. They disappeared. I haven't seen them. That's sad. If you have the truth in you, if you know the truth, if you are separated from this world if you don't want to have anything to do with the evils and the nightmares of this world, you need to be speaking up. I say that so many times, and I don't think anybody ever hears me, but you need to be the one that's speaking up. All right, I'm done. Thank you guys very much for listening. For what it was worth, I shall talk to y'all later. You probably won't even be hearing this. Simply for me stating the whole thing in the middle of the video about how there's only man and woman, and that if you have gender dysphoria, you need help. Just for talking that, just for saying that, YouTube might pull this video. So I have to make a note of this video to see if they pull it, because I think that would be the reason that they would pull. I wasn't talking about COVID. I wasn't talking about New World Order. I wasn't talking about 9/11. I wasn't talking about, fake moon missions. I wasn't talking about any of this stuff. I was talking about gender dysphoria. That would be the reason why this gets pulled. That's the level of evil that we're dealing with. Because it's everywhere now. They choose to believe the lie because they want to live in their own unrighteousness. They are proud to live in the lie because they choose to live in their own unrighteousness. They take pleasure in the lie. They take pleasure in the evil. I'll talk to you guys later. I love you all. Take care of yourselves.